Okay, so today I am going to take you through looking at all of the different things that you can do through the library as far as research. And I am also going to kind of talk a little bit about just in general looking for doing research and that kind of stuff. However, since it does not appear that we are going to get to be in class this week because I still haven't heard anything about that classroom, I'm going to go over your topic presentation assignment in a little more detail because we will be presenting them next week no matter what. We may have to do WebEx if they don't have the classroom going the way that it needs to be. We may have to do it through WebEx, and I'll just pull up your presentations from my Dropbox where you put them in, and then and just kind of unmute you, and you will go through and do your presentation where you're talking, and then we'll go on to the next person, that kind of thing. But I thought I would go through this a little bit in more detail, and of course your assignment sheets are here under the Content tab. If you have not looked at this one yet, you need to go ahead and do so because you will be doing it next week. So I have graded all of the topic essays that I have, at least at this point. I don't have all of them, but I have graded the ones that I have. So if you have not turned that in yet, it's, a lot of people will say, oh, I'm going to fail because I didn't turn in one paper. This particular paper is only worth about 10% of your grade. So you can technically get a 0 on it and still pass the class. You're not going to get an A in the class, but you would still pass the class. Unless you do a lot of extra credit. But you still want to, that is if you turn in everything here on out and come to class and do all your work and do it well and that kind of stuff. So if you have not turned that paper in, please do so as soon as possible. I still will look at it. I'll look at it if you turn it in within the next, like say by Friday or Saturday. Beyond that, we've moved on to the next assignment, and you kind of lost your chance there. I will be taking off points for it being late, but it's better than a 0. So, but beyond that, what you're going to do is take the information that you have in your topic essay, and you're going to create a presentation for it. So I went over this a little bit in the other video, but I'm just going to kind of go through it a little bit more detailed for today. So you're just really taking that information, you're just presenting it to the class. So you're telling the class, I just thought this might be something kind of interesting so you can see what other people are looking at. So you will be turning in your slides on Monday. So there is a D2L Dropbox where you're going to just turn in your slides, and that may be PowerPoint. You can download them as a PowerPoint and I can pull them up, or if you're using Google Slides or PowerPoint, either one, you can download them also as a PDF and we can go through them that way. That's usually going to be the easiest thing to post it to the D2L Dropbox, is to either do it as the PowerPoint or as a PDF. So whichever one you're using, Google Slides, I've used both of them. So just switch Google Slides, PowerPoint, use one of those. There's also the Apple the program. I'm not really familiar with that one, although I do have an Apple computer. I just use PowerPoint. So just use whatever you feel the most comfortable with. So you're going to turn those slides in by Monday night, 11:59, the witching hour as usual. And then you will be doing your in-class presentation on the day you normally come to class. So if you're normally coming to class on Tuesday, you'll present on Tuesday and vice versa for Thursday. So your required length is about 5 minutes. I'm not going to time it. I'm not going to be that particular about it. But about 5 slides. You should have at least 5 slides. I wouldn't have a whole, I'd say at the most you should have, 7 or 8 slides. But beyond that, I'm not looking for 15 slides where you go into deep detail about things. This is worth 5% of your final grade. And that 5% is broken up into halves, so 2.5%, 2.5%, I guess you kind of say. Half of it is going to be turning it into the D2L Dropbox, and the other half is going to be presenting it. So if you turn in the slides, but you don't present, you only get half the credit for it. And then I don't know why you would present and not turn it into the D2L Dropbox. So that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But if you decide not to present, and some people have... you think about 5% of your final grade, that's really only half of that's 2.5 points off your final grade, which is not a whole lot. And I've had people that have turned it in and go, nah, I don't really want to present. There's no pressure. I'm not grading your presentation. I don't care if you don't do public speaking well and you get nervous about it and that kind of stuff. That's not what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at how well you present. I'm just looking that you actually do it. So there's no pressure there beyond that. So, but the assignment to create a 5-minute, 5-slide or 5-slide plus PowerPoint presentation that presents your research topic and question to the class. Take it directly from the information you've got in your topic essay. You have this information that I'm asking for. You've already written, assuming. Now, I had some people that didn't really do the assignment the way they were supposed to. They didn't answer those questions. They kind of did, start answering the research question instead of actually reading the topic essay assignment sheet. If you are one of those people, I commented that and your grade reflected that. So you may want to go back and look at that particular assignment sheet. But I do have the list of questions that I want you to answer in your slides right here. So you should already have this information written out because you've already done this, this paper. So it should include your chosen topic and a question or problem about this topic. So what's your topic that you want to research? What's your research question? There's not really a thesis statement or anything like that, although you will be kind of explaining that in here. So the presentation should address why you think that your research question is worth further investigation, which is your thesis for your topic essay, how you chose the topic, and how you refined the topic into a research question. So the student's presentation. So I've got it right here. And the way I said it before is just make this into each one of these questions into a slide. You don't have to have a ton of information on each slide. You don't have to animate them and make them, fly in from the left and, dissolve and, have pictures. You don't have to do all that stuff. It can be very basic. It's fine. I don't mind. But you could do just a slide for each one of these questions. If you do that, you've met the assignment requirements, and there you go. You get 100 on it. So it should tell you, one slide should say the research topic and the question or problem about it. So what's your research topic? What's your research question? Why are you interested in this topic? Maybe a quick summary about what you know about it already. So what is some of the information that you kind of knew about it that made you get interested in it in the first place? Why does your topic matter? Why you think a reader will be interested in reading an essay on this topic? If you think it will be easily researched, and what you think others have already said about this topic. So these are literally, I copied and pasted these questions from the topic essay assignment sheet. So they are the same thing that you have covered there. So the whole purpose is really just to present your topic to the class. Makes you kind of think about it a little bit more, and especially for those of you that didn't really do the assignment, the topic essay assignment, the way it was supposed to be done. This kind of gives you a chance to look at it the way that you were supposed to. So again, if you have any questions about that, just let me know. If you look here, there is a Dropbox, and there we go. Topic presentation slides right there. So that is where you will be turning those in. So make sure you do that by Monday. And that's when you will turn those in and then present in class. All right, so we're going to talk about the library resources. So I'll take you to the library 2 different ways. So this is just the main website that you go to. I don't know how familiar you all are with the library, but this is what we're going to do. So you can go under current students and go to library, and you get this website. You can also, on D2L, go to the library through D2L, and ta-da, you have all of those options. And then you can also, if you want to go just to the main library website, you can also go straight to Galileo. So you have some different things like that or you can go straight to talking to a librarian, that kind of thing. But either way, we'll take you to the main library site here, or you can type in, there's so many different ways. Just put savannahstate.edu/library. And you come to here. So this is the website that you are going to be using to do a lot of your research. So there's different things that you can choose from here. Now this is going to lead you to Galileo right here. We'll look at this in a second, but this is where you actually are looking at materials that the library has or that they can get through interlibrary loan. So if you're wanting to get actual physical journals you can hold in your hand, books, different things, actual materials that aren't on the internet that you can actually take out of the library and take with you and hold in your hand and look through, that kind of thing. That's going to be what the catalog is, and we'll look at that too. But if you're going to start, we're going to start with Galileo. So this is going to give you options to look at Articles, like I said, articles, books, media, different things that are within the not only Savannah State but within the university system of Georgia. So you can find a lot of different things that go throughout the entire system. So, my favorite here is global warming. So why don't we just do a little search for global warming? Let's say that's what you wanted to talk about. And watch this. Half the time this works, and the other half the time it will not work for me. And it gets kind of annoying. All right, so let's see how well this works. So we've got global warming here. Takes you right in here to Galileo. And we look and we see, oh, here's 20 of 1.5 million sources. Who wants to look through all of that? That is a whole lot of things. It's good that there are so many things. However, do you really want to search through 1.5 million different sources to find exactly what it is you're looking for? Probably not. So this is where you go in to start narrowing down your search. So we've got over here on the side the limit to box. So this is something that's really important that you need to do as far as narrowing down your search so you can find information that is really going to deal directly with what you need and for what the sources that I'm asking for in the assignment. So if you've looked at the literature review assignment, you have to have 3 sources for that. You'll have to have 5 sources for your final research paper at the end of the semester, but at least 2 of those sources, I think, for the literature review have to be from scholarly or peer-reviewed journals. So you want to limit to that. First thing I would limit to is full text, because otherwise you may get just an abstract or like a summary of something, but you don't actually get the full source if you don't limit that. So definitely do full text first. And look, that knocked it down a little bit. Now we got 1.1 million. So there we're getting a little bit closer. And then, like I said, definitely do this scholarly peer-reviewed journal, because if you looked at my last video from Tuesday, which you should have, talking about how to look at the different sources and how to evaluate them. And scholarly peer-reviewed journals are going to be a really good source because they are peer-reviewed. In other words, people who have studied that subject, who have gone to school for it, who have researched it, spent a lot of time with it, have also looked at the different sources and the writings that people have done and said, yes, this is good, or nah, I don't think so. You're wrong here. I've recently peer-reviewed an article someone wrote about being an adjunct professor because, hey, I'm an adjunct professor, and his article did not go so well. Considered a quote-unquote expert, just purely from experience, not really an expert, I would say. But, that's what the whole peer review process is about. It's like they don't put out information until it's checked, until somebody goes around, like you did with your peer review with your topic essay. You didn't put it out, hopefully, until other people looked at it and said, yes, this is good, or nah, you need to work on this kind of stuff. So definitely, here we go, scholarly peer-reviewed journals. So now we know if it's within that, it's going to be probably more reliable. And look, now we're down to even half of what we had before. Still plenty to look through. But another main thing that I would definitely narrow by is the publication date. So if you're looking at global warming things that were published in 1942, do you think that is going to be relevant for today? Probably not. You may want to look at something just to say like, oh, this is what they were saying back in the 1940s and this is how much it's changed. If you wanted to look at a little bit of history. But when you're looking to really answer your question, you want to have something that's up to date. So I usually go within the last 10 years or so. So let's just say 2010. That will be a good way to narrow it down, and we could look at the changes that have happened. Now they didn't knock it down a whole lot, but we got more here. So there we go. We've got knocked it down. Like I said, the narrowing down with the publication date, making it full text, and then the scholarly peer-reviewed journals are really the main things that you need to do. And then you can open up, this looks super interesting, the fundamental concepts of human thermoregulation and adaptation to heat, a review in the context of global warming. So this is talking about people regulating their own temperature. Warm-blooded people. and how it is too when you adapt to different environments, apparently. But we got the information, we got the publication information. Now, where will you need this information from? For your works cited page. So this is something you should pay attention to. Write down this information. You're going to need to know the authors' names. You're going to need to know where it was published. This is in a particular journal, International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health. You'll need to know that title. You need to know what day it was published, the volume and issue number. You'll need to know all those kind of things. So this is information you should be writing down, because in case you, if you go back into search and you don't remember exactly how you narrowed down your search, you're going to be stuck in that 1.5 million different things, and you are going to possibly be lost. So make sure that you're writing all of this stuff down. Now, there's a lot of different things that you can do with it once you have this. You're like, oh, okay, I think this might be good. Let me look at it first. Now, I recommend, this is HTML, this is what it looks like on a web page. I prefer PDF just because it's easier to read, and it prints it, or it kind of puts it in a format that makes it easier to read, in my opinion. It also has giant blocks of text, which can be kind of scary looking sometimes too. But you look at it here and you go, all right, this looks like something I need. You may perhaps look for, let me see if this works. Oh, you can do this. Say, for example, you're looking for polar bears. All right, so what I did right there was Command or Control F, depending on the type of computer you did, and you can search for words. This is talking about humans, so it's not. If I really wanted to talk about polar bears aren't in there because it turned red right there. But if I wanted to talk about England, nope, England's not in there either. You can look for whatever, I can't, for the human, that's obviously in there because it's in the title. And you can search for it, and it will tell you where all of the different keywords that you want in particular in there. So you could, instead of having to, this is 35 pages long, you may not be able to read all of it. Although, again, on that Tuesday video, I talked about skimming, which means you kind of look at the title, and you may read the intro here because it'll give you an overview, and then you read some of these, anything in bold or in italics is usually interesting, so tell you what it's about. So you can scroll through and look at the headings and the different section headers and all that kind of stuff. So if you find out, yes, this is what I want to, this is what I want to look at. I want to use this. So you have different options. That's not what I was trying to do. Let's see if this will work properly. Yes. So you decide, yes, I'm not going to read it right this moment. Now you have different tools for it over here. So you can print it out. I don't know how much printing you have that you can do, but you can do that. You can email it to yourself. I'm not sure where this actually saves, but this also creates a citation for you. If you want to, you're planning on using this and you want to have the site written up for you, you should be able to do that. Although, check the site, because just because auto citation makers, they are not always right. They will, the automated thing doesn't always work properly. So it's always better to check it against what it should look like and make sure that they did it correctly than just put it on there and trust, because I do look at those works cited pages to make sure that they are done properly, because not being done properly is an issue. But you could save it to your Google Drive, you could add it to a folder, and you could print it, email it to yourself, all of that kind of stuff. So once you find it, you can do these different things to keep it. Again, write down this information, and that will help you as well. However, let's go back to your main page here. So we've got these 406 here, 406,000. Now, beyond this is what we call a basic search. So you're looking for your keyword. Now you can look, if you know the title of a particular piece that you want to find, you can search by title. You can also search by author. If there's a particular writer you're looking for, you can do it that way. This is what's considered a basic search. Now, beyond that, you can do an advanced search. So instead of opening each one of these 406 different things, if I want to look at polar bears, and look and see if they do Control F and see if they have polar bears in there, I can do an advanced search. So I can say global warming and polar bears. But so there's choices. You can say and, so it'd be polar bears and global warming, or you can do or you can do not. So say, for example, I want to, and I don't think polar bears and penguins live in the same area? Anyways, say I want to just talk about polar bears, but not penguins. So I can specify and make this more of an advanced search. Now, once I search, I know each thing is going to list, it's going to talk something about polar bears. It's not going to say anything about penguins, probably. But look, now I'm down to 41,000. So you really narrow it down a lot when you do that advanced search. So something you can kind of play around with. You could try different search criteria and different things like that. And then you go to even beyond that. Now we did the search. It's not even limited. We haven't done this yet. So if we go to full text and then we go to, let's see where that goes, 36. And then we got scholarly. Ooh, then we're down to 12. I'm obviously getting way too excited about this. And then we start at 1979. It's kind of a long time ago. That was almost the year I was born. And we go to 2010 here again. All we care about these polar bears. We're down to 8,000. So we are narrowing it down a good bit, and we're finding more what we're looking for. So this is something, like I said, just play around with it. We're going to have time in the actual computer lab upstairs in a couple weeks where you'll actually be able to try this out and kind of do this. But it'll give you something to try but you should go ahead and get started on it. Start looking for some different sources, because that is the main part of your research, your literature review assignment is doing that research. So now that's Galileo. We can go and look at the catalog here. So if we want to look at global warming, see what kind of books and things that are out there. Okay, I don't care, sure. Because I'm off campus, it's probably like, no, don't send that info. So this is interlibrary loan is what this is. So this means that you can find, this is everything that's within the University System of Georgia. It could possibly be at Savannah State. It could also be, at Georgia Southern. It could be another institution. So this is why you need to start doing this research ahead of time, because if it's something you want, it's at another place. It may take a few days to actually get to Savannah State. So this is looking within Savannah State. You could also go, so we got, 1,600 here. Now, if we go within everything, thinking. Now we're up to 8,300 sources. So you've got some different things. You can look and see what library they're from and all of that kind of stuff. But these are actual books, different things. So there's books, there's videos, microform, there's conference proceedings, there's, let's see what else, government documents. And these are all going to be good sources that you could possibly use. Dissertations, so people who wrote their thesis on global warming, their graduate thesis. Mine's published somewhere. It's in SCAD, I think. It's not about global warming, shockingly enough. There's different journals. There's audio recordings, maps. There's all of these different things that you could possibly use. And again, even go into video, looking at documentaries about your particular subject, different things like that. That is going to be something that you can use. So we've got all these different formats that you can get, and you can get it from all over the University System of Georgia. Let's scroll down. And we want to, we can also, again, limit the source. This is negative 500. I guess it's supposed to be, it was written in 500 BC, which I don't really feel like that's real. But anyways, 2010, refine it by that. Knocking it down. Looking at fewer things. Oh, that knocked it down by about half. Everything with this is going to be full text, quote unquote, because it's going to be a book or a journal or things like that. So I don't think there's an option for that. However, you do have something that you can do where it's full access online, which means that you don't actually have to have it in your hand. It's a book, but they've scanned it or something like that, or a journal they've scanned in, so that you would be able to get it even if it's not at our library. You can choose the different locations, the libraries. You can choose what language it's in, what the classifications are. So you've got a lot of different things over here that you can play around with too. So it's, talking about global warming. It's more related to the United States or climate change. I don't really understand the difference between climate changes and climate change. But, different things like that. There's different genres, different forms that they're in. It can be if it's something for specifically 8th grade, interesting. For children, just whatever it is that you want to narrow it down by. You can do all of these things through the library. So we've got e-journals, and like I said, there's also the interlibrary loan. So like I said, if you find something that you want that is at a different library, you can request it through interlibrary loan. Again, you want to make sure that you do this through, with plenty of time left, so that, if it's delayed or if somebody else is using it, that you aren't just relying on it and you can't, you don't search for other sources. But make sure that you do that and do the interlibrary loan with plenty of time if you want to do that. So they can send it, they'll send it within the University System of Georgia, and they'll bring it to the library and you can go pick it up at the library. So that's something that you could also do. So let's go back to the library. So if we go back to the library website, these are the different options that you have. Now, if you're still confused, you're like, I still don't know where to start and I can't find what I want. We've got a little thing here called Ask a Librarian. So there are different ways that you can talk. And like I said, I think I've said this before, I talked to them one time and there's somebody that is manning all of this stuff up through like midnight every night, even when the library is not open. So, you can do a direct chat online. You can, there's a phone number for the reference desk. There's a phone number for the circulation desk. So you probably use the reference to try and find the different references versus this is just like, what's actually been turned in and that kind of stuff. You can also text a librarian. So if you don't want to, if you're not on your computer, you can send a text message and they'll text back and forth. Because like I said, they said probably about midnight every night. So if you're lost, use this resource. That is what they are there for. And you can also just chat from right here. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to do your research, to get help with your research, to find all the stuff that you're looking for. There's different research tools. This is the interlibrary loan. There's research guides. There's all kind of things that you can kind of check out here. And of course, there's a link directly to Galileo. There's special collections. There may be something that, now special collections is very rare things that you can't find everywhere, and you probably won't be able you may not even be able to handle some of the stuff, but you definitely won't be able to take it out of the library. But there may be something there that, is related to this topic that you're talking about. So, but again, that's something that you might want to chat or text with a librarian about and say, hey, I've got, you can really just start with them and say, hey, I'm writing a paper about global warming. I don't really know where to start. Can you help me? And that is what they are there for. So make sure that you use that source. So another thing that you could also do is, if you're looking for, I can't spell scholar. So Google Scholar is also an online database that is pretty good for using for finding things. So if you do Google Scholar here, it's a little bit beyond just regular Google. If you just do a Google search for something, you're going to get the Wikipedia entry and all this other kind of stuff. But if you do Google Scholar, you're going to find scholarly things. So let's see, I'm spelling, I think as many times as I've typed global warming that I could spell it correctly. So now we have got Google Scholar, we've got books, we've got articles, you can sort by date, you can do custom range, say you just want to do since 2017. So everything's updated here, and you can marine heat waves under global warming. What you get there, you may not find everything that's on, okay, whatever. I'm not going to go back to this website, I don't think. So you could possibly access it through your institution, but this may be some of the same stuff that you find through Galileo, but this is just another way to search for it. You may not be able to find everything all on full text is the problem when you use Google Scholar. This is an abstract. In other words, it's just a summary of what they talk about. And look, you have to buy it, which is like, no, thank you. So that is why the University System of Georgia has paid for access to a lot of these different things. So you might be able to find these different things using Galileo. That's why you should start with that. If you really can't find anything else, you could possibly use Google Scholar. That might be a good source for you, just as, kind of a secondary source. Definitely start with Galileo and the library first. Another thing, I always tell you, don't do this, but we got Wikipedia. I obviously use it. It's saved up here in my toolbar. But you cannot use just a page from Wikipedia as a source. Why? Because anybody can write that. I can go in there and I can write whatever I want to on this Planet of the Apes page and be like, Planet of the Apes was the best movie to ever come out, and I haven't actually seen Planet of the Apes. But, I could put whatever I wanted to on there. So, let's go back to our famous global warming. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of pages. This is about climate change. Close enough. And there's all this information here that has all these little blue things are going to connect you to another page and tell you more stuff. But you can't quote any of this because this, as much as it seems very scientific, it just, you don't know who wrote it. However, scroll. This is a long one. Oh, there we go. Get down here to the bottom, and Lord, look at all the references. These could possibly be sources. You are going to have to evaluate them, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. If these different links don't work, then you definitely don't want to use them. But these could possibly be sources that you could use for your paper. So don't really read the page itself, but you could look here and possibly find something that you might want to use. So that's just like a tertiary, like beyond Galileo and beyond Google Scholar, the bottom of Wikipedia could possibly be something that you could use. But you don't really want to go there first, for sure. Plus, clicking on all this can be very confusing because what is this? I don't even know what these things are, and so you don't really know what you're clicking on. So definitely, like I said, start with Galileo and go from there. All right, last little thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to post this on D2L so you'll have it, is the way to evaluate your sources, which is the CRAAP test. So it stands for different things that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to give you this worksheet so that you can use these to figure out whether or not your sources are going to be reliable. And these are the different things that they are using to evaluate them. So currency, in other words, the timeliness of the information. When was it written? When was it published? When was it posted? When was it updated? If it's posted a long time ago, written or published a long time ago, updated recently, it might be up to date enough to use. You just have to look at it and see if it's relevant. So, has it been revised? Has it been updated? And it should tell you a publishing date and then a revision date if it's been revised. Is the information current or out of date? If you're reading an article about Europe and it talks about East Germany, that's a little out of date. Germany's been one country for a long time now. It's been, rejoined. So think about, kind of read through it and make sure that it's making sense and it's talking about things that are more relevant. One of the examples I think that it used in the book was something talking about cell phones. Like if you're writing about cell phones and you're using an article from 2002, that Nokia brick phone that I used when I was in college back in 2002, when y'all probably were barely alive at that point, that's not something that is going to be relevant to articles about or writing about cell phones today. Are the links functional? That's what I said about the Wikipedia there. Is that functional? If it is not, then that probably means that information is out of date. That website or that link has gone away. Then you look at the relevance, so the importance of the information for your needs. That may be good information, it may be current information, but if it doesn't answer your question or help further your information or your argument, then it does not matter and you don't even need to bother looking at it. So does the information relate to your topic or answer your question? Who is the intended audience? Talk about things like the New York Times are written for an 8th grade audience. So you think about you're writing for a college audience. So you're not writing for, amongst doctoral professors that are, you're not writing at that level, but you're not writing for children. So who is the intended audience for it? And is it something that you understand at an appropriate level? Is it something you understand? Is it something that you can translate into your writing for a general audience about your topic? Is that something that you can work with? Have you looked at a variety of sources before choosing this one? Don't pick the first one and think, yes, this is great. I'm going to pick the first 3 that I find and I'm going to do those. Look through more than that. Give yourself time to find the right sources. Don't just pick the first one and go, yeah, this will work. That's what people do when they wait till the last minute. Would you be comfortable using this source for a research paper? In other words, if I looked at it, if you turned it in and I looked at it, would I go, yep, that works? Or be like, seriously, you used Justin Timberlake's Wikipedia page as a source? Don't think so. Okay, and then you look at the authority. So the source of the information, who wrote it? Does that person have authority to write about that? Have they studied it? Have they researched that? Have they worked with that particular subject for a long time? So who's the author? Who's the publisher? In other words, what journal was it in? What's the source? Was it sponsored by anybody? If it was sponsored by some particular organization, it might be there to sell you something or convince you of something rather than just to present the information. And if there's that bias, you have to think about that. Are the authors my librarian when I was in elementary school used to say Arthur, so I almost said are the authors. The author's credentials or organizational affiliations given. In other words, is there a PhD after their name? Are there letters after their name? Usually that means that there's some sort of credential there that they have been studying a particular subject and they are well educated on a particular subject, or are they writing for a particular organization? That may mean that they're trying to shill stuff, sell stuff for that particular organization. So think about those kind of things. And what are they? What are the author's qualifications to write on the topic? I studied about and spoke about dating violence for a long time. I would have the credentials to write about it. In fact, that's what I did for my thesis. However, global warming is something that I don't really know anything about, and I would not actually have the qualifications to write about that subject if I wanted to write, to publish a paper for it. I could write about it for a class, but I wouldn't be able to publish papers in a global warming journal, Global Warming Weekly. That's not a journal, I don't know. Is there contact information, such as the publisher or email address? Now, if there is, you could also contact the writer of a resource. You could talk to them and say, look, I'm writing a paper specifically about this issue. What are your thoughts on this? Or, you could talk to them about what they've written in the, I'm reading this particular source and I don't understand this part. Could you explain this to me? You could actually contact and directly speak with people who have written these things, and that could be considered a source. An interview with an expert on a subject is a reliable academic source. Something to think about, even just emailing them back and forth. Does the URL reveal anything about the author or source? In other words, where did it come from? This obviously is from a college somewhere. I'm not really sure. I just like this one. So does the URL, where is it saying that it's from? Like where, the edu usually means that it's going to be something that's pretty reliable because it's coming through a university. Then you look at the accuracy. So reliability, truthfulness, and correctness of the content. Where does the information come from? Has this person done a lot of research, or are they just making stuff up and saying, this is what I think about stuff? There's a big difference between research and this is my personal idea and I think it's good. Is the information supported by evidence? They should, like you should be writing in your paper, they're giving their argument, but they're giving evidence, they're giving support for that argument. They're not just saying, this is the way it is and that's because I said so. Has the information been reviewed or refereed? In other words, is it peer reviewed? Has it been edited? If it has not been, do not use that source because that is not reliable. Again, I can write about whatever I want to, put it on a blog or something like that. Blogs are not good sources. They are not reliable sources because anybody can just post something there, whatever they feel and whatever they want to write, and it has not been reviewed by somebody else. Can you verify any of the information in another source? Sometimes sources talk to each other. They use, you're reading one source and it's quoting another source. You could go to that other source that it's quoting and use that as a source as well. So think about that. Is it using the different information? Are they saying the same thing? Because that's important. If they come up with the same conclusion, that's probably both of those are going to be reliable sources. Does the language or tone seem biased and free of emotion? And I know some of the topics y'all are talking about are emotional. You have feelings about it. You have personal experience with things like, that you're writing about. And sometimes it's hard to get rid of that or not write with that emotion. When you're writing academic writing, then you don't have that emotion and bias in there. And so the sources you use should not either. It should have an academic formal tone throughout. Are there spelling, grammar, or other typographical errors? If there are, then it is probably not a reliable source. That means somebody did not look at it and go, hey, you spelled this word wrong, or you need a comma here. So that is a big red flag to probably shouldn't use that. And then look at the purpose of the information. Why is it even there? So why was it put out? Was it there to sell something? Was it there to inform? Was it there because somebody did this research and they were publishing their research? What is the purpose of it? Do the authors or sponsors make their intentions or the purpose clear? Sometimes you may look up, I was looking at websites the other day because I have a mouse in my apartment. And I had read somewhere that peppermint oil makes them go away. And so I Googled it. And I saw some websites that said, no, you shouldn't use it. It's not really going to work. And then I looked at the website and I realized it was a pest control website. In other words, they were trying to sell their services to me. So they didn't want me to use anything to make the mouse go away. They wanted me to hire them to make the mouse go away. However, when I looked at other websites that were just like natural cleaning and, things that weren't really trying to sell anything, they were like, yeah, it works. And so that's what you have to trust where that information is coming from and look at where it's coming from. So, the intentions may not be clear there until I got down to the bottom of the website. It was like, you should hire us to come get rid of all your mice, So it was, kind of clear when I got further into it. So look at where that source is coming from. Why is it even put out there? The reason that particular article was put out there was because people were trying natural ways to get rid of mice, and these people weren't getting hired as often for their services. So they were like, hey, actually, it doesn't work. In my experience, it seems to be kind of working, knock on wood. As long as you keep refreshing the oil, it seems to work. So, what is the intention or the purpose of that information? Is the information a fact, opinion, propaganda? Propaganda means they're trying to sell you something, whether it be an idea or a product or something like that. So is it a fact? If it's just an opinion, you can't quote somebody's opinion as proof of something. You can quote a fact as proof of something, but not an opinion. Does the point of view appear objective and impartial? In other words, are they unbiased? Do they take all of the information into account, or are they just trying to push their own viewpoint? Are there political, ideological, cultural, religious, institutional, or personal biases? If there is bias in there, you have to take that with a grain of salt, because they are trying to, again, push forth their particular point of view. They want you to believe them and their point of view, rather than going, hey, this is the information, this is the research I've done, and that is, that's how it is. So you think about those kind of things. So this is the CRAAP test. You're going to use this. You should be using this to evaluate any source that you find to see if it's going to work for your particular purpose. Okay, so I will update you between now and next week as far as what we'll be doing, as far as if we're in the classroom or not. If we're going to do a WebEx, I'll do a WebEx invitation to you. So make sure that you have some sort of access to WebEx. You can do it through, I have it saved up here, so you can do it as a, through your computer, or there's an app on your phone that you can do. Sometimes you have to use your phone, that kind of thing. Something with a camera that you can, you got to have a camera so I can know that you're actually there. That kind of thing. So, go ahead and prepare for that. It's a possibility we may be using that next week, so just be on the lookout for that. Your quiz is live right now, so go ahead, and it covers Tuesday video and this video, and you will also, like I said, be working on that topic presentation, because that's going to be happening next week. So if you have any questions about that, just let me know.